Howdy folks, it is Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It is a bit after midnight and we're going to try to finish up our Rommel campaign for North Africa from Loren, Sperry, 1973. We'd done Hexagon Alley unboxing a while ago. We did our how to play, we did a turn 1 playthrough, we did turns 2 and 3 offline. We filmed turns 4 and 5. Since then, we've done turn 6 and 7. So now we're doing turn 8. We'll do just turn 8 as our last filmed turn. We'll finish up that, and then we'll do a after action review. I might splice those two together, like turn 8 and that. So if you're here just for the after action review portion, I'll put a little click link to the index to the time in the description of this video, so you can jump straight to that after action review. Here I got some new tweezers I'm trying out here. These are custom made. Well, the tweezers aren't the custom bent. Wargamer on Facebook's Consum marketplace. He sells these. The idea is you come down on the stack. They don't close, so that far. They don't come too tight to a point. So you can grip something pretty small, but they start out pretty wide, and you can grip the counters from the side. Here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. All right. Not there. That's okay. Now, because these are handmade counters, I don't necessarily have equal width. If you did, you could pick up the whole stack like this here. I think maybe this one, yeah. But if they're not quite equal, you're not getting everything. But I can easily pick up one or the other off the top by adjusting the height of where I grab. I mean, obviously, you can't pull out the middle counter, but you might be able to get one or do this one. I get the whole stack by gripping the bottom or the top one, but I can't get the top two because that middle one is not as wide. But anyway, that's the idea of these. Normally you'd be grabbing a whole stack if you had counters that are actually well made, well die cut, and all that stuff. So, so far they look pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and do turn 8. I'm going to quickly talk through the action that has happened recently. So, early on, the Brits, with the Indians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, basically, and British armor, tried to pound against here. Didn't make very good headway against the Italians. They had some really bad rolls. The Italians were pretty smart and cagey, and when they burnt supply and not on defense, and the Brits didn't roll well. So the Brits took more losses than they should have. But eventually the Brits swung around. The Italians were to spread out from here to here, and they decided to stop pounding their head against this. They swung wide, they hit here and collapsed it, and then basically started to drive through against the weakest stuff. The Italians fell back. There was another battle here. And so now these Italians here are in Egypt still. So that's the border I'd mentioned before between Bardia and Solom. Again, I've looked at every map. Most of the maps, almost every single map in the game world shows these connected. Whether these were actually connected at the time or not, I don't know. Was this just, I was about to say typo. Was this a typography, a map-making error when, like, saying, oh, you're supposed to draw from here to here, but they drew from there to there? Or was there something weird going on like this where it actually didn't cross the border? Who knows? Someone, again, could research that and find it. But these Italians are still in Italy. So obviously their plan is going to well, let's get the hell out of, or excuse me, they're still in Egypt. Let's get back into Italy where it feels more safer. Rules-wise, it's, are you within range of supply or not, whatnot. But, they're not right now, but the supply can move up. They're getting another supply this turn. But I think they'll fall back, whether they're going to stop in Bardia or, well, if they went from here to here, they'd not be moving along the road. They'd have to stop either here or here, because there is escarpment there. They're not moving along the road at the time, unless that road was actually there. But I'm gonna play this as separated. That's the way I've been playing it. So they'll have to decide if they want to be here or here. I don't know. Here seems better in terms of just blocking overall. Well, no, let's see if they're here. They could get down the road this way unless, the Allies came here and they had a result where no one retreated, and then they couldn't go this way. They'd have to go this way. We'll see. Well, we're going to decide. But talking through the thought, there's a two-step division here, a two-step division here. They've got some an HQ here. They've got this one brigade. They may decide to head down the road. They got one brigade, armor brigade in Benghazi, but maybe they want more armor back floating in case the Allies start to cut around through this way or this way. Let's zoom out so you can see this a little better here. I'm going to go up and out like this. All right, so Benghazi is over here. El Aguila, the home base, is down here. Those are part of the overall victory conditions. I haven't checked them since I started playing. Normally, I go back and check. The Allies, if they get major victories, they wipe out all the Italians and occupy everything, right? But how much of the Italians they have to kill and how much of them they have to have left to get something in between, I don't remember, and I should probably actually look at that to know. Again, this is the first scenario. It's the same setup as the campaign, but obviously it's a shorter game, ending on the 3rd turn of January. Allied strategic victories when all Axis units are eliminated from play. The Axis home base is captured, and Allied units have at least 20 strength points left. All right. So actually, you don't have to take Tobruk and Benghazi to get a... Well, they will have. If you eliminated everything and made it as far as the home base. Like, if you eliminate everything, but you never make it to El Aguila, then you haven't won a strategic victory. Allied tactical victory, eliminate all Axis units, and combined Allied have a combined... It's kind of weird word. Having a combined Allied value of 15 strength points left. So you don't have to have captured the home base, but you have to have still eliminated all the... So if the Axis can hold out anywhere, then there will not be an Allied victory. That's interesting. That seems weird. You could run an armor unit down here and run an armor unit over there, and the fact that there is no death from isolation in this game, and they clarified that in it's on the back of this here. Should probably move that before it falls over anyway. Units suffer no adverse effects due to being cut off from supply, other than the Dyro penalty. It's kind of a weird. It means units in Africa were small enough to adequately be resupplied by air. Well, not really. I got in the sense of subsistence enough. Yeah, still not really. Hence, surrounded units must be attacked. But I was saying there's no death because of lack of supply. And I don't know, if you sat out here in the the desert way out here for 6 months, I don't think they could supply you adequately. Just, yeah, no. You would not be a combat unit in being anymore. Now, whether you're going to add to the game to try to... this discussion... Consider this discussion as part of the after-action review. Talking about the victory conditions or which rules... might need some tweaking, or what you might want a house rule or something. I think we probably determined, for the most part, you don't really need to worry about it, but you could. I mean, there's a whole section here on additional realism rules, but it does not include rules about supply. There's like adding recon units, adding fortifications and mines. That's all that's added in the extra realism rules. So, back on the victory conditions for this first scenario, the Italians and Allies only, no Germans. to get an Axis strategic victory, if you have at least one Axis combat unit survive and Benghazi, Axis home base, and Tobruk are held by Axis. Oh, any Tobruk escarpment hex. You don't even have to hold Tobruk. Now, obviously, you have to have more than one unit to hold it, unless, I suppose if, like you abandoned Benghazi, but the Allies never moved in, the Germans, the Axis, the Italians, the Axis still control it. But interesting, strategic. So you'd have to have home base and Benghazi and at least one Tobruk escarpment hex. Now, I don't know if they're really saying it's all the way from here, this whole thing. I wouldn't go that far. Let me zoom in a little better here. Yeah, let's. So, here's Tobruk, right? There's escarpment here. Here. This is continuous escarpment all the way from here to here. I would not say that Fort Capuzzo counts as the Tobruk escarpment. I would rule city Rezeg. So, you're having this line. So this one, I probably wouldn't include these two here. That's just me. Is it any escarpment within, say, 3? Well, 1, 2. If you're going to say 3, that would include this one. That would include this one. Or you could just say any escarpment from city Rezeg. Is it that silent GH? Is it a J? Is it a G? Who knows? From here to here. I would certainly count all these as Tobruk escarpments. Maybe you include those. I would certainly not include this. Anyway. The Axis tactical victory. Axis combat units survive and you hold Benghazi and home base. So you can lose all this if you hold Benghazi and home. So let's say Italians here want to play for a tactical victory. We're going to try. We're going to try to get a tactical victory. We might try to slow down the Axis or the Allies as much as possible because they're going to lose. I mean, there's a situation here where you're going to have a draw, where one doesn't win. If the Allies don't eliminate and all the Axis units, but the Axis, say, loses home base or Benghazi, it's going to be a draw. But yeah, Allies can't win if you hold anything in Tobruk. But if you put everything into hold Tobruk and then they take, so by let's talk about this, the plan. What are the telling? Let's do it. Let's do the move. Shall we right now bug out? All right. So movement-wise, you always got to pay attention. Does the Axis get supply this turn? They do. They get a supply unit this turn. Oh, and by the way, this is the second November term, where there's three turns per month. So roughly 10-day turns. Okay. So getting supply unit. All right. This is just me futzing around. These aren't. Yeah, they get supply. Oh, let's see. Next turn, they get a supply also. Then they miss one, and they get 2 more. And then supply through the end of the game. Now, the last 2 turns they don't, because they're trying to hold out in the far reaches of home base, and that they don't have any units there. But being able to burn supply to defend could possibly save. Yeah. So yeah, definitely going to bring it here at Tobruk. Yeah, that's yeah, this guy could get out of here. No, because he's still going to have to stop in there. So do they spread out? Does they spread out? Now again, this mech infantry does count for doubling in villages. This is an escarpment here, so all the units would double on defense anyway. So how sacrificial do they want to be? Or does he stay and solemn? You there, sacrificial lamb. Oh, I just don't know about that. Can you slow them enough hanging out there? Now, this is one of the units that does get a inverted step. It has an extra step. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So, yeah, this guy, he's going to stay there. He's going to come here with the hope of maybe later heading off that away. If they do blow this away big time, that movement after combat, second possible encounter, they couldn't barrel roll through. Well, let's see, the movement rolls would have to, they otherwise could have advanced, if he wasn't here, option would be to here, but I'm just thinking they couldn't blow through farther past that. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right, so worst they can do is come down in here, get into this. So this is the question is, this guy is armor. See, this guy, if he had been over here, he would have been here, then he could be doubled on this, but he could be doubled out here, and you could bring this guy over. You don't let him into the escarpment yet. By here. Yeah, here. This puts the zones on both of these. If you're here, they could pull some shenanigans in this way, potentially. So the Italians trying to be somewhat tactical on this. Or do they say, no, let's get back to the safety. There are relative perceived safety across the, maybe they won't follow us. Yeah, right. All right, so there we go, folks. We've moved the Italians back across the border into, I don't see, Italy, into Italian Libya. Their imperial claim on, their colonial claim on Libya, very tenuous here at this point. And again, they don't want to leave Tobruk. This, if they have, if this guy can survive, he can get into here. He might take a hit here, because this is force, a 2 strength, one of these good brigades that has an extra step, double to 4. It's decent. They all basically have to throw everything at it. And even then, on this thing, with even at 8-1, if you're not burning supply and the defender does burn supply, so this is the question here: is do you want to? You can't trace your 5 zone through a zone. No, it doesn't. It says hexes. It doesn't say movement cost. I can't remember if it said you can trace the supply through a zone if you're tracing it through friendly units. I would allow that, but Maybe not. Wow, doesn't. It really doesn't have rules in place as you'd expect them. So part of after action review, folks, is these rules definitely could have been written better for a first time design. It's not been totally independently produced in 1973. It's not bad, but it totally could have been written better, more organized, have some ambiguous points. So it's supporting combat must be within 5 hexes of the unit. Within 5 hexes. Cannot run through enemy zones of control. It does not give an exception. It does not mention movement points, though, so you could trace it across an escarpment. But yes, this would allow us to trace here, here, here. You know, if they get in here and bust one of these things, and they could potentially get up next to that supply unit. But that's what we're going to do. So potentially they can burn it here. So depending on whatever odds they come out, there's that. It can be, as we've seen, it has been worth it sometimes to get that. Sometimes not. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, that would give us a 1 in 6 chance to do something, and that's not necessarily worth it. But if you look at that chart here, if you're only taking it 7-1, if the attacker's at 7-1 but is not supplying themselves, or the core couldn't, and you're already adding an extra 1 means you now have going from a 1/6 chance up to a 1/3 chance that the enemy 2/6 1/3, and one of them's a 2 loss here, and you're getting it way down off of this. But obviously, if they had 7-1 odds, they don't have that many steps. But that, again, that's breakthrough potential, that secondary movement after combat. But anywho, and yeah, the farther down here you get, adding that bonus on defense can be quite critical and painful. All right, let's do the Allied turn. All right. Oh yeah, one of the reasons we're at was the Germans, or the Axis, had supply, therefore they're not halved with their non-infantry movement. Didn't matter. This guy only stepped over 1 space, and this guy couldn't go running down the road. But if they wanted to, they could have bugged one of them out early. I suppose if you wait too long, you're not. You might not get your chance to get down there and do your due diligence defense. All right. So the Allies do not get supplies, but of course they're never reduced in speed in this game because of the supply situation. So we got a infantry replacement. He's dropping. So that comes on home base. I'm gonna move it up now. Makes it to Fuka. All right, they've got a supply guy back at Mercer, which you can't see all this. That's okay. You can't see this. So that's as far as you can see. Here, oops. Knocking things over. Where was that? That was in City Brawny. Okay, a couple of things off map over here coming up. 1, 2, 6, 7. So there's a supply unit that can get up as far as here. So besides having this one, they also have one coming up. So if they want to start trying to do an end run, maybe say, do we try to trap these guys, get in a situation where we can maybe run one? But they don't have the units to spare, is the problem. They had that one independent brigade that potentially could like done an NREN, but they lost that. Lost the whole shebang. They were doing a soak-off attack with it and rolled a 6 with modifiers, and ouch, it blew up an HQ there. Okay, we have under here an inverted guy, so that's a dude that can take a step loss, or it can be flipped back over. What was he? He was independent brigade. Okay, so he didn't totally die. He is down in the wimpy weak zone. All right. They could potentially use him to make an end run towards El Aguila. So I'm going to do that just for the giggles of it. So here's this guy. We're going to move up the replacement. Flip him back over. And he's going to go, well, half, but 1. He doesn't have to, well, I could always come this way, 1, 2. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, he's not. He was here. He wasn't here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He can't make it all the way to Bir El Gubi. I don't think the Italians are going to come out and attack him, but that's sort of the hope to get to here. In my mind, running up. It sounded better when we were doing it here, but we'll go close. So. All right. Wow, 3, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. So again, we've got, here's a counter that I don't see, you can see that it's peeling. I got to reglue that one. 12, 20, 30. So this doubled for, that's a 7-to-1. 4, that would be a 5-to-1 only. No, it's still, I don't, it's not 20, it's 30. I readjusted in my head the amount. 18, 23, 30. So 7-to-1 here, or 7-to-1 here. This guy only has 1 step with no inversion. But technically, if they did, so definitely if they're attacking here, they'll burn the supply and defense. Because if they kill this guy, they only have to do 2 hits to kill it. It'd be totally gone. There'd be 1 excess hit that they could then advance and attack that guy. And so he would get killed anyway if they're attacking here. And they got at least 2 hits. If they only got 1 hit on him, they'd kill it, but they couldn't advance. Yeah, maybe they do that. Maybe there's another replacement coming up. Try to get the Italians to panic, cut these guys off so he doesn't get more into Brook, because technically they could put another 2 brigades in there. Oh no, wait. There's 1 division that headquarters do not count. So they could put either a division or 2 brigades in there. Or they try to kill this guy to make sure he doesn't get into Tobruk. This guy, I'm not going to move him yet, because maybe he needs to hold this as these guys come here. We need something to screen back here. be the anchor here, strongest guy here, in case they're not going to do anything, but in the mind, you're like, okay, so need that supply unit. All right, so the headquarters back here defending to make sure that the Italians don't try to sneak back across the border or something and run up and kill supply units coming up or something. They couldn't do anything. There's no like auto victory rule of, oh, the Allies lose their home base and it's all game over. Unless it's buried in here somewhere. In the campaign game, you can actually win by destroying or isolating all the Allied units. If the Germans manage to completely cut off the home base, either take it or penetrate enough. They penetrate enough that they block it off, that there's isolation, quote unquote. I mean, they don't talk about how do you trace like a line of communication isolation, but they mention it here, and you know that clarification. There's no effect from isolation if you can't get supplies. But other than being close to a supply unit or combat supply, there's no notion of isolated supply except in this context, right? But so they could actually take home base, and in the campaign game, that would be a German victory, strategic victory. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I'm just meandering Mike, meander, talking about why I, in my brain, even though I know the Italians wouldn't come this way, I'm defending this here. Okay, so that supply unit we were talking about back here. Can't get to there, but yeah, it could come this far. So it'll go ahead and sit on there. Well, I suppose they could attack here. 5. Well, it is in there, 72. So yeah, only 2.5 now. All right. So it's a 7-1, and here's that great quandary again. This is multiple times here on this 7-1 chart. If the Allies don't burn the supply, they're adding 1, and they'll do between 5 and 1, and there's a 1/6 chance that they might take a loss. If the Germans burn the supply, the Allies, not the Axis, the Italians, if they burn the supply and the Allies don't, there's a 1/3 chance they're going to take a loss, either 1 or 2. 1 or 2. And this guy would only lose 1 step. He would have to retreat, and here's where the retreat rules do not mention Oh, God. Was this again? Was this on over here? Okay, units ordered to retreat between 1, 2, or 3 hexes, but in a direction chosen by the army, forcing to retreat. Units unable to retreat are eliminated. It doesn't say zone to zone. It doesn't say it. But it makes sense. And they do say you can't, the supply can't go through a zone. Now, I would say something like, well, armor could retreat through an infantry zone if that's all that was stopping them. But again, is that adding too much fiddly rules or not? I don't know. We're going to say, okay, so this guy's going to have to retreat no matter what. No matter, even if the worst die roll. If the Allies burn their supply, then the best the Axis can do by burning theirs is have a 1/6 chance of causing 1 damage back. And for a 1/6 chance, they probably wouldn't do it. If the Allies don't spend it, there's a 1/6 chance that they can lose something. And there's also how much the movement after combat stuff. And this is a road. If they move here, they can potentially penetrate through here. They could actually kill this supply. So they're definitely the Italians are going to burn this supply, absolutely. So I think I think if the Allies don't, the Italians still want to burn the supply because otherwise the chance is too good that they get enough. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, their odds of getting that big are not good. Well, it prevents it from happening. Okay, well, Allies make the decision. Yes, they're going to burn the supply. This is how we force the issue. The Allies are burning the supply. Period. End of sentence. All right. And I don't think there's like another Allied supply. I have to shuffle. There's only a certain number of supply units, and so you have to shuffle them onto the turn track for future things coming in. All right. Oh, the German couldn't spin it anyway because this zone is controlled there. So that's moot. It's moot. Remember that. All right. So 7-1. No modifier because the Allies went ahead and spent it. So they're going to, the worst they could roll is getting an R2 if they roll a 6, which would, see the numbers make a difference here. It's going to have to retreat, it's going to die, but in terms of steps absorbed is what, it doesn't say if you die because you couldn't retreat, you're still absorbing the step damage first because you apply that first. And so for the second combat encounters, quote unquote, the movement and combat after initial encounters. So let's just roll the die. Let's see what we get here, folks. Let's get this here. Meandering Mike, you are meandering and rambling too much. Just roll the damn die, excuse my French. So we're adding nothing. 1. They roll the hugest, biggest, juiciest, an R6. So, I was using the old 2 for a second. So, 1 step loss makes us to the 1-2. The next step loss kills that guy, makes him inverted. There's another step to absorb that. So there's 3. So there's 3 unabsorbed movement point losses for this guy. So they can advance 3. Wow. These guys are in supply. They paid for the supply. They actually tried. Oh, look at that. It's separating. You see that? Jeez. Oh, boy. I am not good at the print and play. 4... So it's all doubled because it's in there. So 3, 6. Yeah, they don't want to try it now, do they? Because they could. Oh, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. They could get here and here. 1, 2, 3. Well, they could do all that. Yeah, they can't get back in here. Now, killing a supply unit. Supply units which find enemy combat units in their hex are simply limited. Now, obviously, though, if you attack it, it should die automatically, or you're automatically at 8-to-1 odds, because it's 8-to-1 and over. And again, if you're 0, you're doing an odds ratio divided by 0. You know, in the math world, it's undefined, but it's actually infinity. Depending on, in the computer world, it's undefined, but it's infinity. It approaches infinity as your divisor approaches 0, your value approaches infinity. You never technically, well, you do. If you actually divide by 0, because you can't get to infinity. Anyway, but you can, conceptually. All right. 3 movement points. Now, technically here, they could technically all do it. There's 4 divisions there. They could spread out, though. Must advance. The first 6 is the one that depends if the process of advancing. Train them. So technically, you could move each unit one at a time. Always having to go here first. You can't say, "Oh, I got 3 movement points. I'm going to go this way." You're going here, wherever. But it's not like, well, move into the hex, the units you're going to move into there, and then spend the rest after the first one. It doesn't say that. Now, you could write a rule that way, where you don't want umpteen units in violation of stacking all pouring through this hex at the same time. Yeah, if he came into the hex, he'd have to. Wow. I 6. If they all moved up, we had 30. We'd have a 5-to-1. The Germans would then blow supply on that attack, I would say. Oh, let's do it. Let's try this. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so it's crazy talk here, but we're doing it. All right, so the Indians, they have the right flank. So 1.5 on the road, or they can go to here. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, we need them all. We need all 30 to get the 5-to-1. So we're basically, the armor is going to do the end around 1, 2, 3. The Aussies, New Zealanders will stay together. 1, 2, 3. There we are. One would assume that they probably work together the most. All right. So we're doing it, folks. Can attack at a 5-to-1. They've already earned supply. And the Germans go, "Wah! Burn the supply, burn the supply." Well, see, they don't have to retreat. You don't have to retreat here, but every step loss is weakening them double. So their best chance. Let's look at what it says right now. 5-to-1, even. And his question is, they put it. Wow. If the best. Wow, interesting. Can you see that there? Am I zoomed in enough? Am I close enough here? So 5-1, even roll here. A 6 is 1 and 1. If you're adding 1, so it's going from now 2 to 7, it's 2 and 2 losses. The Italians would have to lose 2 instead of 1, but the Allies would lose 2. So there'd be adding 1, there'd be a 50-50 chance they're going to lose at least once. And right now, they're burning the supply. This is desperation. Help, help, help. They're burning it. All right. So, zooming back out here. Not going to wrap around. Earthquake. So, this headquarters, see, I grabbed the wrong tweezers. I need to move these tweezers. I have like 3 pair of tweezers here on the table right now. So again, it's a headquarters and the inventory. This is a fortified port, so everyone's doubled. 3, 6. There was 30 strength points. That's a 5-1. The Allies were already in supply. The Axis is burning supply for this. So they are causing a +1 to be added to the die roll. You ready, folks? You ready? You ready? You ready? All right. You can't see that there. Let's get this in a better position. There you go. I can still see the front. Adding 1, 5-1. 5 becomes a 6. So it did save the Italians 1 step. It would have been Deb losing 2. They only lose 1. The Allies will still lose 1. They ignore the retreat portion. So I think they lose the Italian headquarters do not have a back step. So I was thinking if they took the step, the headquarters, they could then use that to absorb the next loss, but no, they need to. This is still going to be doubled, but this guy, if he goes down, the infantry dying could keep the headquarters alive for next thing. So which is this, the Serte division. If I can find where that guy is here. Where is Serte? Way down here. So they lost 1. And the Allies have to lose 1. Now, the Indian division is going to have to be removed in a few turns at the 5 strength level. And if it doesn't have enough strength, you have to make it up with losses from other units or replacements. Let's see, but that's going to be losing 3. The New Zealander would lose 3. The armor would lose 3, and the Australians. Oh, where are the Aussies? No, where? They would only lose 2. So we'd lose the least strength by taking the hit on the Australians right now. And when that turn comes with the New Zealanders, we can worry about it then, pulling off a replacement or whatnot. So let's have the Aussies make the sacrifice. All right. So that was that exciting action, folks. Let's put them on the top. They need to be recognized for their... Tobruk is under siege here. That's in November, the middle of November. So this is an example of throwing your weight around, taking the risk on the flanks, but it paid off. So that Italian sort of spreading out, maybe they needed to make sure they had at least 3 strength points, or well, there's 2 doubled for if they had like a doubling 2 and something not. If they'd condensed maybe a little earlier, they would have been better off. But they rolled big enough to get in here and attack. Otherwise, they probably would have been maybe trying to kill the supply or something. But the Brits rolled well and got in there. All right. So, Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. Wow, 50 minutes. 50 minutes just for this one turn. We were doing partial after-action review kind of discussions. I don't know if I'm going to actually have time tonight to finish this and do... there we go. I still have to do my video for Dan Pincali's show, No Enemies Here. So it's a Thursday night after midnight. So my deadline for him is usually by 4 a.m. I try to deliver. We'll see. Well, so you may hear me talking after this. I may splice these two together, or we'll have a separate video for after action review. We'll see. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. The excitement here in the deserts of North Africa. Loren Sperry's Rommel, the campaign for North Africa, a game published in 1973. Designed by Loren Sperry, published by Loren Sperry. Loren Sperry, if you're out there, trying to get in contact with you on Facebook. Love to talk with you. All right, take care, everyone, and ciao. Howdy, folks. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. I couldn't resist. I was going to do the rest off camera, but the situation is interesting here. So after the Allies attacked on that second turn of November, they tried to break through to Tobruk after they smashed the Italians that were here. These guys were over here. They went and attacked at Tobruk at a 5-1, and the Italians burnt their supply. They rolled a 5, which is adjusted 6. It means that the Italians only lost 1 strength. The Allies lost 1. The Italians in their next turn and trying to salvage things didn't completely panic. The decision was made to see movement that armor brigade from Benghazi into Tobruk, and they could take their supply this turn into Tobruk. The supply unit that was over here was able to come down the road this way, along with the army unit that was over here. They're deciding to come around here to try to get this way, whereas the guys that were in over here at Bardia, the infantry was able to go this far. The mech guy came to here. They're basically cutting off these guys from getting more supplies. And but these guys are next to this guy is stuck. These guys here could potentially back off. But he is in the zone. And again, can you move zone to zone and then you have to stop? That whole difference is but at best they could do that. They could move 1 space and would still have to attack. They can't escape here and run and come out and attack something itself. So these guys can't all do the big sort of gangbang like they did before. Well, except maybe on this guy here. But that's still a mech imp in the village, so that's still 4 strength points. These guys don't have supplies. There's supplies out here. There's supplies in here. So the time that I'm filming, I decided, let's go ahead and film this. This is exciting enough to try to decide what the heck is going on here. So yeah. What to do? Let's see. So I've already moved over here. Supply and a replacement are coming up. The Allies did get a supply this turn. But okay, so these Allies have not moved yet. They have a supply and headquarters here. They have that brigade. that we'd given replacements to. You know, they were covering the front here, but the guys that were all here, you know, had rushed in. And so there was this gap here, this road, you know, across this at the city, Regé. You know, so this guy here was able to come across this way. So obviously these guys here, he's on a road. So he could come back out. They could come this way to try to break their way back out. Like, oh my goodness, you know, if Tobruk had taken more damage, they're falling. But right now, with that extra strength, it's like, oh, this is too hard. You know, it's too big now because it is the 2 extra strength points for that. They'd lost 1, but 1, 2, 3, 4 doubled to 8. And they lost 2, so they're no longer 30. They're 28 to 8. It's only a 3 to 1. They won't have supplies. The Italian would burn supplies for certain to try to make them pay. So they would be adding 2 to the die roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chance. So there's only one result where they wouldn't lose anything is the things. They could actually have to retreat themselves. So if they try to attack here, this guy could die because he couldn't retreat. So that's dire. There's no way they want to attack that at a 3 to 1 odds in this game with the current penalty. So it comes down to, again, that not clear, unambiguous rule about movement. When any unit enters an enemy zone of control, it must stop and have combat. So it's in a given turn. It doesn't say if you start, you must stay there. It doesn't say that, and it should if that's what was intended. End their turn on our days. There was combat before. They didn't have to attack out because that's the fortified port rule. So Tobruk or Benghazi, and you're sitting in there. Technically, I guess home base would be those two. I don't. They didn't say that, but it's the same hash mark place. But I'm not deciding. Does this guy get to, you know, move to here? Or here? Well, here they'd have to attack both. Does he get to move from zone to zone and have to start entering a zone of control? So I can't even remember if I decided one way or another definitively. If that, it's never come up. We've never moved it. And I've hummed and hawed. I think I was, in my mind, was going by this strict interpretation. And I may have said like, oh, well, maybe armor could do it, but infantry couldn't, but it does not say if you start in the zone of control, you may leave. It doesn't say that you may not leave. It just says when you enter a zone of control, you must stop. And I'm going to play it that way. All right. It is the desert. It is North Africa. Good Lord. All right. So, you know, there was a fair bit of mobility going on here. However, problem. This guy here, you can only put 2 units here. These are all divisions. We can't put 3 divisions here. These guys here, if they're moving out this way, they're going to have to stop on the escarpment. So they're not going to be able to attack this with everything. But there's no way. They don't want to leave 1 unit behind here to attack. Yuck. Let's see. 2, 4. God, do they really attack 2 different places? This guy's not going to be able to supplied. Wait a minute. If he's not here, if he moves to here, 1, 2, because by hexes, not by movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could be supplied, But being here, this guy, he'd have his own here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy will not be able to be supplied. But this guy could here. But if you moved here to have those two like this, then you'd have to soak off against this guy anyway. And that would be a 4-to-1. Oh my gosh. Or you leave one guy out behind here. He goes 1, 2. He goes here. He goes here. So you'd have 23 versus 4. So this would be a 5-to-1 instead of a 6-to-1. But which would be the same thing, or you'd have these 20, 5-to-1 and a 4-to-1. Or if you have 23, it'd be a 5-to-1. 4-to-1. Ouch. Yeah, look. And that one, he could defend. You're not... Well, no, you can't get your supply in there. Oh, my God. 4-to-1. Oh, ouch. Yeah, no way. No way. Oh, yeah. 4-to-1 with penalties is just... Oh, painful. Can you see that? You can see that, yeah. So we're going to do this. One guy has to stop there. The New Zealander and the Indians come here. The armor comes zipping around. They're trying to like, maybe it wasn't so smart. If they had rolled better and Tobruk was much weaker, then it would have been okay. They could probably reduce it without supply or do something like this the next turn and then hit it. But it was a good move by the Italians. It was bad dice for the British attack on their breakthrough attack. Yeah, getting that 5 or higher was bad enough that they didn't do as much against Italians. They took some damage. So over here, well, actually, we got these guys can hit though too. The odds. Wait. Nope. See, they can't get back under here. Because they could cut that off. Blah 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 blah. HQ. Again, that's escarpment. this road question just keeps coming up. Is this connected or not? By saying it's not, it definitely slow. It's at the border. Yeah, I kind of make the sense that they didn't necessarily have it. Super highway straight through. Make it so this guy can't. There's no retreat result without a loss. That's one thing I would like to have actually seen on here. Some chance for an R result with no actually loss. You don't necessarily have to take a... there's some empty results here in a couple of these spots where no one takes any losses. It would be okay to have something where someone just takes a retreat with no combat loss. But it's not. We're meandering again. All right. So again, this was 13, 23, 25. That's enough to give us one more odds. So it's absolutely totally worth it. But again, we have to not get next to this guy. So we have to come to here. Right? So get a better odds. I mean, this guy's going to die anyway. If he takes the result, but it gives us that next odds. And that's totally worth it. It is totally worth it. Right. 4. Instead of a 5-to-1, we're at a 6-to-1. Yeah, because we're having, they're going to burn. Oh, they can't burn supply on this guy, right? Especially with him here, anyway. Yeah, so they could have burned it for this guy, and now him being here, putting his own here. Yes, critical move. All right. So it's a double whammy zammy. All right. So that's what they're going to do. Now, they move the rest of this. It's already moved up. This is playing that headquarters. Where is the headquarters going to sit? Don't want them doing more shenanigans. He's only a 2 movement unit, but it'd be nice to be able to come in this way, but they can't get that. They can get it as far as here, but I don't think they want to be way out there. So I think, let's see, here or here. That prevents them from going to where they'd have to stop there. Would they attack my headquarters by itself? I don't think so. 1-to-1. There. If this is dead, well, they're not going to counterattack there. All right. So this is turn 9 here, folks. The die roll. You ready here? Let's zoom back out so we can see it. So that Australian's on attacking. 13, 23 plus 2 here. 25, 4 doubled. Because it is mech infantry in the village. It is doubled to 4. So it is 6-to-1 odds. The attacker does not have supply. Yeah. I was saying, like, well, what if you supply party units? I'm going to say, no. The fact that this is 2 strengths out of, and 23 there, supplying this guy. So certainly if you're 50% or more, if you're supplying them, yeah, you're supplied enough. But certainly not this case. I mean, you could make the ruling like, no, you got to supply them all or it doesn't count. So attackers not supplied. They're getting a -1. The defender cannot supply them. So they can't, or not a -1, plus a penalty of 1. Again, I don't like plus to the die roll is actually bad. It's a penalty. It's like, make it a minus is a penalty. A plus is a bonus. Shift, just tilt your old thing on the side, and you can have negative. Something, I don't want a negative number. Well, whatever. Why not? Or you just say minimum 1. You can still do that. You can say, hey, subtract from the die roll, and it's a minimum of 1 or something. Personally, I like having combat results tables like 2 die 6 or 2 die 10 that you add together. Get a nice little bell curve, and then that lets you subtract 1 or 2, and it can go down from 2 to 1 or 0 or something like that. Not have to worry about, oh, what's a negative number on the table. Anyway, that's more Meandering Mike, meandering. Yep. So, ready to roll it. Adding only 1 on the 6-to-1 column. 3 becomes a 4. So it went from 3 losses to 2. Didn't matter. The guy's blown away. They didn't roll bad enough to get one of these results. The fact that, though, it is 2 is actually enough for them to be able to move and have the after thing, because this guy, Italian brigades do not have that inverted sub-step where there's 0 strength, but it's just gone. It's eliminated. So there's 1 unabsorbed. So they actually have 1 movement point. And so they can move these. So that actually lets them sort of spread out. He's going to stay here to keep his zone here. They're going to stay up on the run. They'll just move the New Zealanders back. So now it looks... here we go. Well, let's see. There's an advantage of being on the road, being back 1, that you can potentially go zipping down this way, entering this escarpment along the road. This allows him potentially to move this way faster, but I'm going to advance the armor here. So the armor, that. We've got a little line again. They're still got target towards Tobruk. So, all right, folks. So that did an extra turn. Definitely not doing an after action review tonight. But I'm going to splice these together. So you'll have seen this be turn 8 and 9. That's not what I intended to do, but I couldn't resist. Who knows? I might end up filling the whole thing. No, I don't think so. But but I gotta move on and get to other games. But the filming schedule for December is really tight. So much I got to do other stuff too. But all right. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was interesting. Lots of that's some action there. That's a little more exciting than like, okay, so it wasn't just a complete Italian collapse and rout, and they kept their wits about them, and you know the Brits had to stay smart and like, oh my gosh, if you stay here and attack, and if they actually stayed in there and tried to attack Tobruk and got a attack or retreat result, that could have been totally, they could have lost the entire Indian division potentially. So we're under 20 minutes on this one, but the two spliced together is going to be an hour. So anyway, should I put them on two separate? Cram them all together, right? Meandering Mike, man, Madness. Take everyone. Take care, and ciao.